GT Countdown. The top 10 years of gaming.
Back in 1977, a 1.19 megahertz processor and a 4K ROM slapped between some plastic were all you needed to go beyond Pong. The Atari 2600 VCS may not have been the first home console, but it was the one that brought gaming to the forefront. It was the first great year of gaming, with a promise of a wonderful future. In the next 30 years, there have been many, many games and systems, and with GameTrailers' leased Wayback Machine, we can scope out every American era of this short-lived, long-loved art. To make the cut, a year had to either be filled with innovation, stellar games, or both. Amidst some surprising results and tough cuts, we've compiled this countdown, and we're sure you won't agree with all our picks, but don't mess with someone with a Wayback Machine. We can make it like you were never born.
Number 10. 1983.
The 2600 had its 6th anniversary, right after its 2 colossal bombs, the childhood-ruining E.T. and an abomination of silicon resembling Pac-Man. Now everyone felt they could make money on this video game fad. Soon, Kool-Aid Man had a game, and even Purina got in on the act. The market was oversaturated, and publishers thought everyone with 3 initials would sponge it up. They were wrong. Sales fell, and the crap was all swept together in $5 bargain bins. As people got burnt on bad games, they stopped playing, sales waned more, and the cycle began anew, but smaller and smaller until there was barely a pulse. The cascade of cartridges became a trickle, and eventually fell into hibernation. But this was the burnout that was needed to see gaming reborn into what it is today.
Number 9. 1999.
As the masses prematurely braced themselves to enter a new millennium that wouldn't actually begin until 2001, an amazing year of gaming had already begun, giving players legitimate reasons to party like it was 1999. Whoa! Great new franchises had just begun, like Nintendo's mascot-fueled Fight Fest Super Smash Bros., Konami's twisted effort to redefine survival horror with the original Silent Hill, and the debut of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. For PC gamers, it was the inaugural year for Unreal Tournament and the beginning of the genre-popularizing MMORPG EverQuest, which fittingly has servers running to this day. The year also saw one notable piece of new hardware, the Sega Dreamcast, memorably launched on 9/9/99 with a better-than-perfect port of Soul Calibur, one of many straight-up arcade hits that helped the humidifier-styled console with its unwieldy controllers burn a spot into the souls of the hardcore.
Number 8. 1997.
From where we're sitting, the late 90s are a great period to attach to the phrase, back in the day. The year 1997 is a great representation of this golden era, giving birth to certified classics. Even a casual mention of these games could lead to an impassioned raving about how that particular title was the coolest game ever. In a lot of cases, these seemingly nostalgia-tainted claims are pretty tough to dispute. For one, the year was as close as the N64 came to having a heyday with the multiplayer masterpieces Mario Kart 64 and, of course, the legendary GoldenEye. Speaking of legends, 1997 also boasted the breakout RPG success Final Fantasy VII. Slightly less famous, but just as revered, were Castlevania Symphony of the Night and the PC tactical masterpiece Fallout. Others may remember Oddworld.
Get me out of here!
Well, a few of them might.
Number 7. 1992.
1992 was a year of new beginnings and top-tier franchise installments. In its second year on the US market, the Super Nintendo received 2 of its most popular single and multiplayer games. The contender for everyone's favorite of the series, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, split Hyrule in half, and Super Mario Kart tossed the inaugural Red Shell. The Genesis fought back with Sonic 2, the introduction of Tails, and perhaps the mascot's finest side-scrolling hour. The PC modded 3 brand new genres with the survival horror Alone in the Dark, the literary real-time strategy epic innovator Doom 2, and the almost first-person shooter Wolfenstein 3D. Indiana Jones discovered the fate of Atlantis, The Seventh Guest became a platform bestseller, and blood flowed like wine in the arcades when Mortal Kombat dealt its first fatality.
Kano wins.
Number 6. 1987.
Thanks to the popularity of Super Mario Bros., the Nintendo Entertainment System kickstarted a new wave of video game popularity. In 1987 marked the beginning of many franchises that are still going strong 20 years later. Metroid and The Legend of Zelda dropped players into complex worlds that couldn't be conquered in a single sitting, implementing passwords and save files for players to continue their quests. Castlevania whipped vampire hunters into shape, while Mega Man allowed players to add to their arsenal by defeating the Robot Masters, and Mike Tyson brought Punch-Out from the arcade to the living room. Great games were limited to the NES, though. Both Contra and Double Dragon hit arcades in 1987, allowing two players to blast through aliens or beat up street thugs. On the computer scene, cult classic Maniac Mansion birthed a new era of LucasArts adventure games, with its crazy characters like sentient tentacles and a dark sense of hamster humor.
Number 5. 1991.
1991 was a fantastic year for video games on all fronts. The Super Nintendo kicked the 16-bit generation into full gear with a superb lineup, including Super Mario World, F-Zero, and Final Fantasy IV, which had one of the most emotional plots of any game to date. Both the TurboGrafx 16 and Sega Genesis fought against the newcomer with the blast processing of Sonic the Hedgehog and the head-spinning, meat-fueled rampage of Bonk's Revenge. The original NES was far from forgotten, with the refined Tecmo Super Bowl and the big bad boot of the punishingly difficult Battletoads. The introduction of Street Fighter II set arcades on fire, while the PC saw breakout hits like Lemmings, Duke Nukem, and Out of This World. Even portable gaming was strong with the Game Boy entry in the Metroid series and 4-player FPS shootouts in Faceball 2000.
Number 4. 2001.
The PlayStation 2 may have come out a year earlier, but it was only this fateful year of our countdown that its other main competitors entered the fray, forming the Axis of Awesome and a console showdown that still has fanboys grinding their axes to this day. Despite hitting the ground running without Mario by its side, Nintendo did the GameCube no wrong with titles like Pikmin and Super Smash Bros. Melee on the list, while simultaneously unveiling the Game Boy Advance just months prior. Meanwhile, the PlayStation 2 finally became more than a cheap DVD player, with a library of games that were the sequels of yesterday and the prequels of tomorrow, while Ico showed us where the Emotion Engine got its name. Sega finally hung up its blast processing with the Dreamcast and bowed out of the console race for good, but Microsoft was quick to pick up the torch with the Xbox and a little thing called Halo the very same year.
Number 3. 2005.
By the time 2005 reared its head, the usual suspects were well into their elder years. But like an apple tree in the spring, the systems managed to produce some of their sweetest games to date. The Cube went out with a bang with the pioneering Resident Evil 4, while the Xbox blew minds with Psychonauts. The PlayStation 2 continued its victory march with a steady stream of superb sequels, as well as fresh new finds like The Bloody God of War, The Haunting Shadow of the Colossus, and the thumb-blistering debut of Guitar Hero. The DS picked up steam and a new audience with some adorable doggies, while traditionalists were treated to online racing in Mario Kart DS. Sony also muscled in on the handheld domain with the launch of the PSP, putting console-level graphics on a portable system. With the current systems enjoying their golden years, Microsoft kickstarted the next gen by going full circle with the Xbox 360. HD gaming was the new frontier, and Xbox Live showed what that would mean for the connected.
Number 2. 1998.
Some people may remember 98 with antics from a bitchy bird and a burly bear, a skeletal travel agent, a Zerg rush, or just trying to catch them all. 3D finally came into its own, and portable gaming got a rejuvenating shot in the arm with the Game Boy Color. That's some people. Most will remember it as a trinity of untouchable games, where innovation met refinement and excellence was the end result. Snake's tactical espionage action proved you could be a part of an interactive movie. Half-Life went another route, providing scripted events that always left you in control, crowbar in hand. And the Trinity was completed with a Triforce. Link grew up and back down while riding horses and slinging down Skulltulas. Ocarina of Time is still the gold standard, and cinched 1998 as a year that went unchallenged. Until...
Number 1.
This was a triumph.
2007.
I'm making a note here. Huge success.
It may feel like it's too early to crown 2007 as the best year in gaming, but as the months go on, it only becomes more apparent that it was the ultimate 365 days of our beautiful hobby. The AAA games are almost too numerous to list. Who would have ever thought that the fourth installment in the Call of Duty franchise would kick up more dust than the third Halo? Guitar Hero may have jump-started the strumming genre in America, but Rock Band made it a social event and one of the best party games ever. Mass Effect took players on a choose-your-own-adventure quest through the stars, while Mario's Galaxy utilized gravity and spot-on controls to create a game that was out of this world. And they just keep on coming. BioShock created an alternate reality that's about as believable as they come. Metroid Prime 3 showed that first-person controls aren't just for the mouse and keyboard. Crysis upped the technical ante, and the Orange Box gave new meaning to the word deal. There was something amazing for every kind of player in 2007, making it our pick for the greatest year in gaming history.
I'm torn into pieces.